Believe it or not, I have got many comments from players who are starting to play Asphalt 9 Legends and ask me how it's possible to know which cards are the best or the most worthy ones to go for, since when they look at the stats of a card, it seems like it's not enough to fully understand if that card is good in general or not. So today I will be showing you all how to fully understand the stats in Asphalt 9, as well as I will tell you which kinds of cards exist and which ones should you aim for. So let's dive into it. You all guys must keep in mind that the type of card you should go for will depend on the way you play daily. Let me explain. Even though I don't recommend at all to use Touch Drive on a daily basis, since I definitely think the game is way funnier without it, those players who want to use Touch Drive should focus more in a different kind of cards in order to be less limited when it comes to multiplayer, basically since it's not possible to succeed in events and many times even on Grand Prixes and other game modes using Touch Drive. So let's have a quick look at which stats are shown about each card on the garage and how to understand them before diving into the different groups of cards that exist based on their stats in Asphalt 9 Legends. Alright, so the first thing you see every time you look at your card stats is the top speed. Be careful because the value may change if your game is on miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour, since both are different ways of measuring the top speed. This value is the top speed your car can reach without using nitro, and if you want to calculate how fast your car goes with nitro, you must add between 10 and 21 km per hour to this value depending on the car. Then we have the acceleration. This value represents from 0 to 100 how fast your car accelerates. The closer that number is to 100, the faster your car accelerates. In this game, values under 70 points when it comes to acceleration means that your car accelerates relatively slow, but the top speed also affects the way your car accelerates. A car has a decent acceleration when you see close to or over 80 points here, basically. Now that I explained how you must look at the acceleration in your car stats, let's move to handling. This value represents from 0 to 100 how much does your car goes to the left or to the right every single time you steer it, or if you prefer it, how easy it is to steer a car. If your car handling value is really good, you can take some corners even without drifting, as it's the case of cars like the McLaren Senna, whose handling value is actually over 100 points, making it an extremely sensitive car. In general, a handling value of over 70 points is considered a great handling, and it also means that the car will be in general way easier to control and dominate. At last but not least, we have the nitro, or as I like to call it, the nitro efficiency value, because the only thing this stat represents is from 0 to 100 how good your car nitro efficiency is or how much does it last. I would say that from 65 points onwards a car has a quite good nitro efficiency. Now that you fully understand what does each stat represent in Asphalt 9, let's check the different kinds of cars that exist in Asphalt 9 based on their stats. First of all, we have the acceleration and maneuverability oriented cars, like for example the Lotus Elise or the DS E10s on D class, the Ferrari 599X or the RS C1 in C class, the Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider and the Porsche 911 GT3 RS on B class, the Vanda Electrics on A class, and the Batista or the Rima Concept S at S class. All these cars have one thing in common, because all of them have at least around 80 points or more in handling and well over 80 points in acceleration, but if you compare them with other cars around their classes, you will realize that their top speed is usually lower. This is because these cars are meant to be agile and fast accelerating in order to recover their top speed as fast as possible every time they leave a corner. Basically, all of these cars have as well a good drifting speed, which helps them to gain back all the speed they lose faster, since, as I say, they don't have massive top speed to get back to. In twisty tracks, these cars are capable of putting a good fight to faster cars thanks to their overall better agility and acceleration. All of these cars are as well the best options for those who are using touch drives, since they can recover faster from the speed losses the touch drive causes while steering, an issue that those that don't use touch drive don't have to deal with, and since these cars are more agile in general, it's easier to maintain the pace with all the other drivers, even if they are not using touch drive at all. Then we have the top speed oriented cars. The common element in all these cars is their massive top speed bars, as you can see in their stats. These cars are among the fastest ones on each class, but they are quite special, as I will show you in a while. Top speed oriented cars, for example, are the TBR Griffith on D class, the Arinera Yosara or the Benthers Hard On C-Class, the McLaren F1LM or the Apollo N at B-Class, the Jaguar XJR9 on A-Class, and the Devil 16 along the Hennessy Venom F5, the Koenigsegg Jesko, and the SCC Tuatara on S-Class. You will realize you are in front of a top speed oriented car, first because of the top speed stat, which will be way better than most of the cars around it, and second because most of these cars have a bit worse nitro value than the average. This is a catch these cars have because otherwise they will be able to keep their massive top speeds for way longer thanks to the help of the nitro. However, this is not always like this because with the top speed oriented cars it's not always the nitro the stats where they lack of. For example, the Jaguar XJR9, the fastest A-Class car, has a great nitro efficiency, but look carefully. You can see that it has a really bad acceleration value. Anything below 17 points, as I said, is considered to be a quite bad acceleration value, so in the Jaguar XJR9's case, it has a better nitro efficiency in order to reach the top speed at some point within the race because otherwise it wouldn't be able to keep up, and I can guarantee you that. Other stat you can look at from these top speed oriented cars is the handling, because many of them have a handling value of below 17 points, which despite is not good, honestly is not horrible, but makes most of these cars harder to dominate. This is something easier to understand on S-Class, where cars like the Hennessy Venom or the Devil 16 require extra practice in order to be properly tamed. Also, you need to keep in mind something about the handling, because a bad handling doesn't mean that the car drift radius is bad. There isn't any way of checking how good a car drift radius will be from the stats alone. That's why paying close attention to the community channels is so important, because from them you can see races where you can truly appreciate how good or bad the new car drift radius is before deciding between going or not going for it. Back on the main topic, these top speed oriented cars are meant to be used by manual players rather than touch drive users for the sole reason that of the speed losses that steering with touch drive causes, and that makes these top speed cars quite useless against manual players if you are using touch drive in basically all the game modes present on this game. That's why I recommend to play manual even if you are not the best player, because at some point you will be able to use most of the cars and thus taking an advantage from them that otherwise would have been completely impossible to reach using touch drive. These two types of cars are the most differences one within Asphalt 9, but then we have a third group of cars which is the biggest one in terms of total number of cars, and these are the intermediate. The cars from this group are usually quite balanced if you look at their overall stats, because they won't have massive top speed but will be faster than the agile cars I mentioned before, and their acceleration and handling won't be as bad as the top speed oriented ones I said before, so they will be like in the middle, For example, cars like these are in D-Class, the Bentley Continental GT3, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Evo, or the Glickenhaus 004C. On C-Class we have the Porsche Panamera, the Lamborghini Gallardo, and the McLaren GT. At B-Class, for example, we have the Lamborghini Revuelto along the Apollo Evo or the Lotus Evija. On A-Class, for example, we have the Ferrari Aperta or the Pagani Mola along the Aston Martin Valhalla concept car, among others. And in S-Class, good examples from this group are the McLaren Speedtail, the Ultima RS, or the Bugatti Chiron. This group is huge, however there will be cars that, despite being balanced in many stats, may be a bit better in some of them without being massively different like the two main groups I mentioned before. One last thing I would like to tell you guys about the different types of cars that exist within Asphalt 9 is the fact that of course there are bad useless cars that in general are not competitive, like for example the D-Class Lamborghini Countach, which has a horrible nitro efficiency and acceleration, the C-Class Porsche Boxster, which has an horrendous handling, or some filler cars in S-Class like the Riders, the GTI Hispano, or the new ITS Automobili GT, which have bad top speed for the rank and class where they are placed at. In general, I would recommend you to have at least one agile or acceleration-based car and a top speed-oriented one on each class, so you can compete in classic multiplayer with the agile ones, and in Ghost and Slipestream multiplayer with the top speed-oriented ones. For classic multiplayer, look always for great acceleration cars, and then make sure to have a look at the top speed, handling, and nitro at last. In Slipestream, however, is way easier, since only top speed truly matters, along with handling in second place, so you don't lose speed the only time you are not speeding through the track. This is while you drift on sharp corners. I really hope that this small guide helped you all guys to understand a bit better the way stats work in Asphalt 9 and how to properly focus on the cars that adapt the best to your playstyle so you can get the most out of your resources. Let me know your thoughts and car recommendations in the comment section, and I will see you really soon as usual with much more Asphalt 9 content. Goodbye guys.